Hello guys and welcome to another MK Mobile character review, today featuring Kraken Reptile. As always guys, please note the date when this video has been recorded because a lot of things may have changed since then, and if you're not aware of the matrix I'm using to evaluate characters, you can find it on the top right corner of the screen. So without any further ado, let's put Kraken Reptile to the test. Kraken Reptile guys was released on the 10th of March year 2016, which makes him over 3 years old, so we should be expecting some outdated stats here. So let us begin with the attack. It is 36,950, which is the 45th highest in the game and the 28th in the Gold League. The hit points, they are 97,152, the 26th highest in the game and the 10th among the gold characters, and you can see it's getting better and better because the toughness, it is 41,580, the 21st highest in the game and the 4th among the gold characters. That was a real surprise to me, to be honest. And the recovery is 38,556, the 25th highest in MK Mobile and the 10th in the Gold League. The power generation is just 100%, so for his stats, Kraken Reptile gets 16.3 out of 28 points. Special one of Reptile guys is called Acid Puke. What you need to know about it is that first, it can be completely blocked by the opponent. However, it can be cast from distance. Even at long distance the ability will connect. Also it has poison as main debuff, which is amazing because, as you know, poison most of the cases cannot be evaded even if the opponent blocks the special attack. The only way they can do that is if they have resistance to poison. Another thing about Reptile Special 1, it is lethal and it consists of 3 mini attacks. When it comes to damage, the minimum damage of Reptile Special 1 is 12,193, which is the 58th highest in the game and the 39th among gold characters. The maximum damage is 24,387, the 59th in the game and the 29th in the Gold League. Unfortunately, when it comes to damage, Reptile isn't that much impressive. So let's go back to the properties of the ability. Once again, it is completely blockable. It has poison as main debuff, it can be cast from distance, it is lethal and it consists of 3 mini attacks. So for his special one, Reptile gets 8.1 out of 12 possible points. Carnivore Bash. This is the name of Lord Kraken's special 2. What you need to know about it is that first, it can be completely blocked by the opponent. By the way, special 2 of Kraken Reptile can be cast from distance, however the first 2 mini hits will miss, so I'll be deducting some points there because he's dealing approximately about 30% of the total damage in those 2 mini hits. Special 2 of Reptile has slow as main debuff, which is kind of disappointing. Slow on its own is not really a great debuff, unfortunately. The ability is lethal and it consists of 4 mini attacks. When it comes to damage, the minimum damage of Special 2 of Reptile is 30,483, which is the 55th highest in the game and the 33rd among the gold characters. The maximum damage is 60,967, the 60th highest in the game and the 36th highest among the gold characters, so really not impressive stats when it comes to damage. And once again, let's repeat the properties of Special 2 of Kraken Reptile. It can be completely blocked by the opponent, it has slow as main debuff, it can be cast from distance, but the 2 first mini hits will miss, you have to keep that in mind. Special 2 of Reptile is lethal and it consists of 4 mini attacks. So, for his Special 2, Kraken Reptile only gets 8 points, which is actually lower than what he got for his Special 1. The X-ray of Kraken Reptile is called Extinction Event, and this is probably the best thing about this character because first, it can be cast from distance, second, it looks very nice, and third, it has regeneration as main buff, which is incredible. Because as you already know, if you have regeneration on your X-ray, this means that the entire team will regenerate. Not only the character who has it, but the entire team. So this makes actually Kraken Reptile perfect candidate for a monk team. I'm not kidding, really. He really shines in a monk team. When it comes to damage, the damage of the X-ray Kraken Reptile is 74,380, which is the 69th highest in the game and the 45th among the gold characters. Very low damage, unfortunately. And once again, to repeat the properties of the X-ray, it can be cast from distance and it has regeneration as main buff. So for the X-ray, Kraken Reptile gets 3.5 out of 4 possible points. And the total score for his special attacks should be 19.5 out of 34. Kraken Reptile, guys, has one of the fastest basic attacks in the game. No kidding there. You can see it right now how fast he is. Unfortunately, he doesn't perform that well when it comes to chaining those fast basic attacks. When the opponents are blocking, unfortunately, Kraken Reptile doesn't push them back, and on top of that he has some issues if he doesn't perform a combo ender in the end of his basic attacks combination. So in general, I'll be giving him 4.5 points for speed and 3 points for chaining, for the total of 7.5 out of 10. Honestly, he's one of the fastest characters in MK Mobile when it comes to basic attack speed. Acidic Blood, this is the name of Reptile passive. Basically what it does is that every time when a Reptile is hit by any attack, there is a chance Acid Blood splashes the enemy, dealing unavoidable damage. Okay, I really like the idea behind this passive, I hate the execution. And I just want to mention in the beginning that if the passive was working while you were hitting the opponent, it would have been a much better passive. Now, this Reptile is not supposed to be a support character, that's without any doubt. In other words, he has to be either tank or damage dealer. So let's start with the passive itself. In a nutshell, the damage that it deals is not a lot, and it is quite random. Sometimes it is less than the damage you deal, sometimes it is more, and sometimes there isn't any. So you're getting hit and the passive of Reptile doesn't trigger, which is not really good. Also, blocking the attacks of your opponent decreases your passive damage. I mean, why? The acid is the same, why the damage is decreased? I don't get it. In other words, in order to deal more damage, you have to bite the bullet and take the damage without blocking, which is crazy. Now, granted, Kraken Reptile has some good stats when it comes to HP and toughness, but still, he is far from being very good tank. So, the whole thing makes his passive useless, unfortunately. And in the end, if he's supposed to kill people as main damage dealer, this passive is the worst ever. You don't want your main damage dealer to get hit. Ever. Even if you're blocking, you don't want to get hit even when blocking. So if he's supposed to be a tank or something, it is still not impressive, because once again his stats are good but not high enough. And in general, why would you want to use a fast character like Kraken Reptile as tank? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, Kraken Reptile can get to Special 1 extremely fast due to his basic attacks. He is not supposed to be a tank. Simply there are tons of other characters who are better than Kraken Reptile when it comes to tanking. I'm really sorry guys, I really played about 10 Faction Wars hard battles with Kraken Reptile, and as you get invested in the game and you want to hit people and you know, chaining special ones and stuff, you don't really care about his passive. For quite a long time actually, I totally forgot it existed in the first place. The only way when I actually cared about his passive is when I used Kraken Reptile in a troll team. Seriously, a troll team, the Suicide Squad team. I'm going to mention it later in the video. So yes, really horrible passive for a damage dealer, so I'm giving it only 9 out of 20 points. I'm really sorry guys. I spent about 2 or 3 hours just trying to decide how many points to give. I started from like 12, but then I said to myself, okay, I just realized I played so many games, I didn't really care about his passive. I didn't rely on it, ever. So 12 points, that should be very high. So in the end of the day I got to 9. And Kraken Reptile is just an outward character, so he gets 1 point for classes and 0 for tagging attack. Okay guys, we got to the most important part of the video. In this part we are answering the question whether Kraken Reptile is a good character. So what did we have so far? Kraken Reptile has some very bad stats. I mean, not the worst, but definitely not good as well. He also has some terrible damage on special 2, decent damage on special 1 that has poison, which is quite good. So in a nutshell, never use his special 2, better use his special 1 twice. Also, his passive is really close to useless, and quite frankly it requires some heavy buffs. So in the end of the day, he is really not a good card, unfortunately, even though I actually like playing with him from time to time and putting him some troll teams, some monk teams, or even some teams that buff his stats, something like a 2+1 team, but he doesn't really feel great even in those teams. That's the sad truth. So I'll be giving him only 1 out of my 3 entirely subjective points, and with this point he's going to score 54.3 out of 100 points, which will rank him as a decent card. Final verdict: decent character. Okay guys, we got to the gameplay. So first thing first, Kraken Reptile is a decent opener, no doubt about it. Reason being, his special 1 is quite good. It has poison and it can be cast from distance, so boosting his damage by 50% is always beneficial. The only drawback of him being opener is that he's not really that strong and he may get snared and in the end killed. Apart from that, he is okay as an opener, no issues there. When it comes to the characters that he counters, there aren't any. Probably the only character that Reptile counters is the Red Kitana, because every time when somebody regenerates, Kraken Reptile can poison him and stops the regeneration. And when it comes to characters that counter Kraken Reptile, the usual suspects again: Pankasi, MK11 Jade, Assassin Jade, really tough matchups for Kraken Reptile. When it comes to the items guys, if you're planning of using him as an opener, definitely give him Devastator, Saurian Armor, because he needs some HP to survive if he's facing some tough matchups in the opener spot, such as for example Dark Emperor Liu Kang. And as the final item, it is totally up to you, but as you know I don't like Blazes Life Force, so I'll give him either Synthos Ring or Bloody Voodoo Doll. It's up to you. If you feel more confident playing Kraken Reptile, then I would advise to give him Bloody Voodoo Doll so that he can get faster to his special 1. However, if you're unsure what to do, Synthos Ring is always better. If you don't want to use Kraken Reptile as an opener and you rely on him using and spamming his special 2, I wouldn't recommend to do that, but still, if you want to use his special 2 more often, then give him a Rat Hammer. Very important, if you want his special 2 to be actually useful, you need to give him Rat Hammer. In the armor slot, equip him with Shao Kahn helmet, and in the final spot as an accessory, give him either Soul Medallion or Bloody Voodoo Doll. Okay guys, we got to the final section of the review and the best teams, including Kraken Reptile. I was thinking a lot, I was trying a lot of teams while I was testing the character in general. So in the end of the day, I couldn't really find the perfect team for Kraken Reptile. There were some teams that he felt better in sight, but in general, there isn't ultimate team involving him. I'm sorry. So, the 2 best teams which I played and which I enjoyed a lot. First, 3 Reptile team, that's Klassik Reptile, Kraken Reptile and Noxious Reptile. If you don't feel certain about playing the reptiles, instead of Noxious Reptile you can use Nimble Reptile. However, Nimble Reptile special 2 is a joke. Anyways, and the next team which I really enjoyed with Kraken Reptile is Morpho Kitana, Treacherous Tanya and Kraken Reptile. Quite frankly, this team was really good. it felt decent, I never lost with it. So, if you ask me which is the best team for Kraken Reptile, I'm not talking about troll teams, I'm talking about really good teams, teams that you can use to finish faction wars fast, and probably this was the best team for Kraken Reptile. And of course Treacherous Tanya is one of the characters that's very underestimated, I don't know why, because plainly if you're using her, it feels like you cannot get power drain. The power drain reduction is pretty much about 80%, it feels really good. Anyways, let's proceed to the troll teams. I really enjoy playing Kraken Reptile in troll teams. Of course, you can build a lot of monk teams using him. A basic monk team with Kraken Reptile should be monk, Kraken Reptile, and any character that has shield or regeneration on his X-ray, for example. Sub-Zeros, Sonias, Shao Kahn, another reptile will also do. And the ultimate troll team for Kraken Reptile, the team which I call the Suicide Squad. This is Tournament Quan Chi, Klassik Ermac, and Klassik Reptile. So you don't want to hit those guys with special attacks or basic attacks, and you don't want to kill one of the guys. So you can get, I mean, this team is not really good because these characters obviously don't have any synergy, apart from the fact that if you hit them, you kind of deal damage to you. So in a nutshell, quite fun team. I wouldn't say that it's great, but it's still very fun to play. Okay guys, Kraken Reptile, what do you think of him? Do you like him? Do you dislike him? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? He scored 54.3 points on our scale, and we decided to label him as a decent character. The biggest drawback of this character is his passive. Unfortunately, he is designed to be main damage dealer, or at least not support. Unfortunately, his low stats and the lack of any other defensive mechanisms make his passive almost useless. So this will be all from me for today guys. As usual, if you want to see more reviews, you can find them on the top right corner of the screen. See you next time guys.
It burns, yes.
Perfect.